parts. Gonna do an ECU. Thanks to Brandon from Quantum Auto for sponsoring this with a donor that I've given to Robert. We'll say 75% charity and 25% like if I think I want it to be a little bit different from Brandon the next time around, then I'll be able to give him feedback about what I do and don't like about Robert's. When I pay my $50 for upgrading the one that I paid full price for originally, which was worth every penny. So you know, I sell the $100 throttle controller, and it is the best bang for the buck. I don't think Brandon would argue with that. It's hard to compete with $100. Which basically, behind this tube, there's a butterfly valve, if you don't know, and it just goes like this to open up more air. When you open up more air, you can dump more fuel, make more power. So the factory one, it's electronic on cars this new, like modern cars, except this one was ahead of its time. So you got here, and then it's going to control a valve that goes like this, but if you slam your foot on a factory one, it's still going to go like that. But if you use my throttle controller, it can go like that. You know, you take all the lag out of it. So you are literally building more power and reducing your 0 to 60.
Ooh.
But this
is a reverse thread, is it?
No.
Okay, it's just tight.
Yeah, just give it a more. So we've got 2 more 10 millimeters here. We'll come back to that other stuff in a second. So now we're up to a 5th one. Wow. Okay, well maybe we'll move up to the 3/8 one. Oh, alright. Or we'll risk breaking mine, whatever. It didn't break. So, back to it. Brandon's Quantum Auto. So in addition to this throttle stuff, then you will also get literally more power, assuming you run premium fuel, because you know, this car is built so well that the V8 will put up with 87 octane regular and retard the timing so you don't detonate. But with this one, you know, take more advantage of what could have been available if it was tuned the way that it could have been. Which, you know, with a combination of emissions and the way they wanted it to drive was not that way, but it can be. And the best part is, it's integrated into the normal snow and power button, and you can actually choose. So, like most people probably choose, I chose the power button because it makes most sense. So you got normal, and the car will basically drive like normal. Like literally on mine. Except I have an older one, and it was built for an LS430. And that's what he knew how to do at the time. And I'll tell you what, it was still worth every penny. And now he's claiming, oh yeah, this is going to be better than my transmission valve body physical change, which I had a hard time believing, but he was very adamant. And so, you know, I don't consider him a liar, and I'm looking forward to it quite a bit. So even better than that, you see this valve body? This was supposed to be the valve body that I put into my car. Instead it turned into my 2 weeks of not being able to drive my car because of a couple different reasons. One being I scored all this trash, but then also there was a broken accumulator bucket that I was super thankful that they still made the parts in this car. If I could even find it in this garbage. You guys can take my word for it, but like, here was a shim that they put in, and there was another shim, and then there was this enormous thick spring that was literally supposed to sit on top of the C2 accumulator. And so you're trying to reef this B up on a flat surface and not have it kick out sideways on this above your head with the front end of your car up on an angle. It's not fun. So the guy that made that GS400 video that did it, I wonder if he was a little bit more intelligent than I was about realizing, hey, this is going to end poorly if I try to use the shims that they gave me, so I'll just put the valve body in and F the shims, which then maybe I'd be happy with it. But instead, my donor valve body that I paid for an entire transmission from a guy on eBay for $250, and I said, hey, will you send me the valve body out of it and send it to this guy in Texas, and you can keep the transmission? I'm like, yeah, I'll do that for you. So that's what I did. Had it sent there, spent another, I think, $350, had it modded, then they sent all these shims, and then I put the shims in, and I ended up breaking the C2 accumulator bucket, and I broke the plastic bucket over here, and I stressed out being the SC430 mods guy who broke his SC430. But it works now, and I'm so thankful. I haven't even driven it yet, but I'm like on cloud 9. So anyways, back to this.
I'm ready for a Phillips screwdriver.
Okay, Robert needs a Phillips. Let's get a Phillips. By the way, if you're a Milwaukee versus DeWalt guy, I'm a Milwaukee guy. But I will say that DeWalt makes some great plastic, much like their drills. Phillips.
Good, thank you.
So you can use that on the two-sided thing. Yep. And so far we had a number 2 Phillips and 5 10 millimeters. Looks like a shallow would even work, so I wouldn't worry about it deep. So you had 3 screws to take the cover off, 2 nuts, and then we're gonna have, we could actually even take it out at this point, so we'll just take this one out, push this tab, wiggle it back and forth, push this one out. By the way, for all the tabs in the Lexus, this is what I recommend. Push the tab, wiggle it back and forth. Shouldn't take a ton of effort to pull it.
Screws out first. Are they? Oh, it should come out with that. You're right.
It should come out just like this.
Yeah.
But it might come out easier with.
With them off.
Well, eventually we're gonna have to take them off anyway, so go for it. And in the meantime, I'm gonna be prying on it. Okay. We got that one. Got this one. Okay, these are just adapter brackets. So we'll take and go like this, and Robert can continue. And we'll talk more about Quantum Auto's awesome stuff. So there's a guy, as I understand it, that Brandon can correct, named Yuri out of Russia, that cracked open the ECU, which has been a very difficult challenge that people used to have to piggyback. So literally you'd have a signal coming out, you'd have this other thing that would change the timing. Say you wanted a 5-degree difference. So you get the timing out of here, and then it would, you know, we'll say obviously 360 rotation, right, would be back to the same. So 355 degrees later, you'd have a 5-degree difference. That's what the piggyback would send to your engine. So that's what used to happen. Lots of splicing, lots of not cool stuff. Now, you can just swap ECUs. And in addition to changing throttle control, I also changed the shifts. It's supposed to be much more significant, and Brandon can again correct me if I'm wrong, but thanks to my little post, he came up with this little challenge, and I called him out, and I'm glad I did, because who doesn't like getting cool free stuff? But he says, "Oh yeah, I can make that transmission slam if you want it to." Okay, we'll see. So my transmission already shifted better with the power button. It should be switching even better with this one. And so let's recap. We got the throttle that opens much faster. That alone, about half second off of your 0 to 60, just by itself for $100 from me. So then this one, that plus more power, plus faster shifting, and apparently much faster shifting even than mine, which I'm super happy with, like I said. And top speed limiter gone if you want. If you have a custom application, you can even change the RPM limit, or even just leave it wide open, which with a factory car do not recommend, because it stops building power on the top end past about, I think, 5600 RPM, which may be a limitation of the headers, which are terrible. It's like, you know, 4 headers would be nice into a collector, like a normal car. This one was like, oh, we're going to be the emissions king, and we'll have ultra low emissions vehicle certification. You have 1 or 2. First cars in the world to do that. Price you pay for that, got 1 header tube, and you got a bung, 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 bung. Terrible flow, very restricted. Why would you do that? You do that for emissions, because it will make things hotter faster. So you get more hot air. The hot air will go to the catalytic converter. When the catalytic converter heats up to the appropriate temperature, then it does its magic and makes the emissions better. So all to heat up the catalytic converter that much faster.
Okay, ready?
Yep, that can go in. So you can just literally drop that in, plug all the plugs back in. Pretty hard to screw up because the plugs will naturally fit one direction and not the other.
Oh, these are adjustments. I guess there's someone them up.
Were they? I guess we'll find out.
Should only need to loosen one, huh? Yeah.
There. Yeah, close enough. It's not like, I mean, if this seat's all the way to the bottom like it did.
Yeah, let's just snug these back.
This isn't cosmetic.
I hate rattles.
Yeah. But I also wouldn't tighten those too much, because when I did my timing belt job, there's a Phillips down this direction.
Uh-huh.
And it strips. So the solution is you take the metal and you go because why in the hell would you put a what appears to be grade 8 in a grade 10.9 standard vehicle that strips out super easily? Why would you use a Phillips in the first place up here? All right, I'll call Toyota out for that. This is like, come on now. So
Nobody could answer the question. They were at lunch.
oh, other fun thing. In case you're feeling young, we'll say, you can do the pop and crackle tune that, you know, makes it sound like gunfire out of the back of your exhaust. Quantum Auto is more than happy to do that for you too. And I don't judge, it's your vehicle. You mod it the way you feel like it. But I am not doing that. So I did not. I'm sure Robert would not.
No.
But
unless I live nowhere near anybody.
yeah. If I live nowhere near anybody, I still would not.
Should we test it before we put the lid on?
No. Let's just put the lid on. This is basically solid. I would not worry about it. So then there's going to be a reset procedure. Basically, cool feature. It would be super easy to take an ECU out of a car that you own, that had a key that you own, that was programmed to the ECU that you own, and take it in Robert's car and swap it out and drive away with it. That'd be a pretty ingenious way to steal a car, right? Especially since it's not much work. Well, Toyota apparently thought of that, so they make you wait for 30 minutes before you get to reprogram the keys. I'll have a picture in here that'll show that basically we're going to jumper pins 4 and 13, which is not the same as my VSC reset tool, so don't think you can use that for that. And no, I will not make that. Unless somebody wants to pay me like $10, okay, fine. But you're gonna have it for a one-time deal? Come on now. Nobody wants that. There's no market for it, so I'm not making it. Okay, so we've turned it to the on position. We can see a lot of flashy. And we're gonna need some flashy for 30 minutes. See, Robert really likes to stab on it because he put it all the way up to 3.9. So with my thing, you got this guy, and it's got to go somewhere. One really cool thing somebody did was stick it through here. Recently I figured out that it fits right here really nicely, and you can tuck the wire under this way. But that is an advantage that I'll give Brandon. It's pretty slick to be able to take it like this and just go, okay, I want more power, and then go back to normal. That's pretty awesome. The only exception of what does not go back to normal that you'll notice is the transmission shifts that he's doing. So he told me that's in the ECM and that other things were in the TCM. I was kind of looking forward to the fact that you could turn the transmission shifts on and off, but you're going to have to choose how aggressive you want your transmission to be, and he apparently is going to be offering it as like a stage 1, 2, 3 type of thing. And we'll ask Brandon later on what he considers this stage to be, because he's already developed other ones that will slam even harder than this one. I think Robert's really going to enjoy it because he's we'll call him a spirited driver. 30 minutes, we're going to wait. I might hook up like a very ghetto 12-volt supply to this because I don't have a battery tender, and Robert's isn't like the most fantastic battery.
No, it's brand new.
It is a brand new battery.
Yep.
But it's cute.
You have a charger?
Let me show you what a bitchin' battery looks like. So on mine, I came back from Texas for family matters, and then 2 weeks later when it was literally under snow this high, like this high, and I got it all under, I mean that battery was at like 3 volts, so obviously that wasn't coming back.
Oh crap.
Let me present the American H8 AGM, I think also known as Group 49. You take 3 10mm bolts out, you can take the entire battery tray out. It's just this little plastic thingy, and you just shove it in there and you're done. And you're like, oh, well, what about it rattling around? Well, look at this. Like, I'm shaking my entire car. The thing is not going anywhere. It barely fits in there. It's perfect. It is amazing. I highly recommend that. Get an H8 AGM advanced glass mat battery to replace your whenever it dies battery. You will not regret it. You got your phone, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Because I don't have mine if we get stuck. Not necessarily because of what something Brandon did, but
Wheels are smooth.
so far so good.
Yeah, the other thing that went away when I put the plugs in was that herky-jerky that I was telling you about.
Oh, nice. Watch out for the hot, yeah, one way or the other. That's good.
Oh, now there's a little junk.
That's the one. There it is. Okay, you're good.
There was a little. Did you feel that?
Yeah, that was the hole in the ground.
Okay. I made a difference.
Yeah, that did make a difference.
I didn't move my foot. Wow. That was a noticeable difference. I did not move my foot.
Yeah. So, before with my version, about roughly 2.6 felt like his mod changes. I'll form my own opinion when I get to drive, but for now, it's Robert's car. He should be the one to enjoy the first drive. But the biggest thing we're looking for a difference on is shift speeds. Damn, that pulls. Might not want to do that in the rain.
That was 84 and it hadn't shifted yet.
Oh, you got the third.
That was quick.
Yeah. We'll say that there was a number that happened fairly fast. And it did seem to shift faster. For sure. So I'll say that mine has a 376 differential swapped into it. I've got a higher stall torque converter from Lexstream, intake and exhaust, which don't really make a difference on the whole performance aspect on, you know, mild tunes down by that flashing sign. And the ECU tune that was the old one, and from what I just felt by the seat of my pants, it feels like Robert would give me a run for my money. So I am definitely curious to see what my impressions are when I get to drive it.
It could just be me, but it seems like it's rumbling a little deeper too. Oh.
I think the seat lost its memory position.
That's
because
okay.
it's beeping. There's a way to reset that. I think it's like you put it down and back as far as it can possibly go. Something like that. Feels good.
And we still haven't changed the throttle setting.
Well, yes we did.
Oh, we did?
The power button does the same thing. It's just a one size fits all. This has got like 30 something different settings, which is, well, actually I think it's about 27 settings. But Yeah, I mean, the vast majority of people will not care about that level, but I don't know. It's a trade-off, you know. Do you want a vehicle that is built for as much performance as you can get out of it? Then you basically cannot do that without Quantum Auto tuning. But if you're just looking for the best bang for your buck and you want an immediate change with, I used to say 90% of the difference, but I'm going to reassess that to 80% of the difference with what Brendan's been able to pull off recently with Yuri and this new tune, so far from what's being felt. Alright, so we'll see. So I'm just doing a little stabbing to like 2.5, and I'm seeing how it's reacting to wanting to kick down.
Went down 2.
Yeah, that went more aggressive than normal, that's for sure.
Yeah. And did you feel the rear end starting to slip? It felt like it was kicking out to the right just a bit to your left.
So, yeah, we are open differential, so it's an extra problem in the rain, too.
I know.
So, I mean, true performance-wise, it's kind of a placebo, except that you can, I mean, you can do the same thing in the 6-speed. I prefer the 5-speed because it has a gated shifter and it makes me feel like I'm more connected to the car. So I can shift to 4, make it B4. I can put it in 3 and make it B3, which, by the way, let me check that again. Usually it takes like 1/1002 to get down to 3. And I want to see what it feels like, because you'll be going along and then there'll be some jackass that's in front of you and you're like pissed off, you can't wait to pass him, and this is what you do. You go not like that. You go like this, and you go down to 3, and then you're all geared up to go like that.
It still kicked down to 2 though.
Yes, his did kick down to 2. I'm doing 50.
Yeah.
And he's at 3,000 RPM, and his did kick down to 2, which I'm not used to because of my higher stall differential. So I guess in his, you know, if he's doing 50, he's gonna have to go down to 2 to spool up. So now he's at like almost 4.5, and then you can just stab. You'd have all your power.
Yeah, all in mid-range is right there.
Because let me tell you what, you get to that VVTI, man, it feels good. And that's at the top end. It's a lot of stabbing that. That's only 3rd gear. We're at 3,500.
It's pretty chippy.
Watch Robert when I do this. See me smash the back of his head into his seat? My wife hates that. Whoops. Off-roading. Okay, so no, it doesn't quite feel as fast as my car, but it is incredibly impressive. The shifts are better. I would call this 100% streetable. I'm gonna switch back to normal for a little while, and we'll drive home, and I'm gonna kick down a little, go through the motions. Still very smooth.
Yeah, I don't feel much shifting at all.
I would say instead of, you know, butter, which is, by the way, very bad for a transmission, like it is from the factory, now it's kind of a nudge. it's definitely not a smack. So I think,
as advertised.
yeah, I think that I'm gonna ask Brandon for his more aggressive tune, because he said, oh, it's punishing, but I mean, I'm gonna talk to him about it a little bit. He's like, oh yeah, I made an even more aggressive one. I mean, for most people, this is gonna be awesome. Awesome. Who doesn't like that?
Muscle car days, baby.
I mean, it makes you remember that you have a V8 under here.
That's what I'm saying.
So many previous owners, it's like a dog on a choke chain trying to run away and enjoy itself, and it can't. Every time you push on it, it's just
Can't get out of its own way.
yeah. You hit this button, it's like taking the choke chain off of it.
Yeah, that button. I didn't realize that was taking the place of the throttle controller.
Yeah, it is. And you won't hurt my feelings if you don't need it anymore.
Well, what would I do with it if it's already doing it, you know?
Well, I mean, truth be told, the guy that runs the Lexus SC430 UK group,
Yeah.
he runs both.
One?
Yeah, Juan Thorns, you're right. Faster than my memory. So, Brandon's works by changing the computer's interpretation of what's being sent from the throttle. Mine changes what's being sent by the throttle to the computer. So, technically,
You could get a little bit of
you
both.
can use them in conjunction.
Yeah.
So if I put it on crazy, then
That's
basically uncontrollable.
That's pretty snappy.
Yeah. Whereas this is normal, and I'm pushing the throttle 3 or 4 times deeper than I was.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good way. Good not to have it, especially with the wife get in here and drive it. Forget about that. That it's a V8 and not the 4-cylinder Prius.
Yeah, like literally, I'm pushing like an inch, and it's kicking down to 4 and launching on the 3.9 with Brandon's thing from Quantum Auto. So yeah, overall, if you're looking for even more performance than just, you know, waking it up and having passing power because you just like want to get all you can out of it safely and reliably, I would wholeheartedly recommend this even over mine. You know, you want that extra 20%, you got it. Quantum also does things like I've got a some people don't know, I've got an SVT Cobra supercharger sitting at home from a 2003 Ford Mustang. From the factory, puts out 6 psi, and it's a little scary because on a 3UZ and later model 1UZ V8s inside of these Lexus engines, the rods went from thick to not. They're pretty thin, and they like to stretch and bend and you know, destroy your engine if they get too much boost or too much naturally aspirated horsepower or whatever. In the 1UZ to 3UZ mod forums, I've had quite a few people tell me 6 is no problem, that oh, I ran 10 on the track for a long time with a stock engine and had no big deal, you should be all set, blah blah blah. So good to know. Makes me feel a little bit better, but I'm still nervous about it.
Yeah.
Let me show you real quick, then we'll call it an end to this video. It's hiding right down here. This guy, SVT Cobra supercharger, coming soon. Anyway, hope you had a good time. I'll be sending I'll be sending Robert's ECU back, which will become my ECU, with an even more aggressive tune than Robert's, because Robert's still feels really good, and so I feel like punishing myself more. So we'll see if I go too far. Kind of like this thing.